The U.S. defense industry is large, complex, and competitive. It is also lucrative for those companies able to navigate it successfully. The American Society of Military Comptrollers helps bridge the gap between the boardroom and the battlefield while supporting transformation in the defense sector. The Business of Defense podcast brings you inside the companies working to achieve this, directly from the business leaders, and to understand how they create value for their companies and their customers. For more information on ASMC, visit asmconline.org.
You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers, about hikers, and for everybody.
I'm wondering if you'd go wandering with me through the wilderness and woods to where the winds are blowing free, through the darkness of the night, heading toward the morning.
Welcome to the Jester Section Hiker Podcast with the spotlight on section hikers.
And I'll spread the word, and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come. And we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods.
I am excited to announce that the podcast episodes that are specific to the Mountains to Sea Trail are now being sponsored by the MST Guide by Pocket Trails. The MST Guide is the most comprehensive app for maps and navigation developed for the Mountains to Sea Trail, providing unprecedented information and ease of access for day hikers, section hikers, and through hikers. Never get lost again. Updated maps with trail route changes and everything you need from parking areas, camping locations, water sources, and more. Available now for download through Google Play and coming soon for the iPhone. Check it out and download today. The MST Guide by Pocket Trails. Follow the lines in the palm of your hand. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. You are listening to Jester Section Hiker, the premier podcast with the spotlight on section hikers. And I'm your host, Julie Jester Gayhart. Today I'm going to start off the show a little bit different by reading a couple of listener emails. A few episodes back, I asked anybody out hiking the 40-day hikes on the MST, or anybody section hiking the MST, or anybody hiking their home state trail to reach out to me and share how things are going. So first, we hear from Sharon K. My friend and I started our quest to complete the 40 hikes together last June. We've managed to complete 16 of the 40, and we have been posting our pictures and stories on our Instagram accounts. We are working our way east and west from our hub of Raleigh, North Carolina, venturing farther and farther from home. We are hoping to complete the 40 hikes this year. I've enjoyed your post and the pictures from your hikes. It reminds me of all the beautiful places we've visited along the way. Our goal was exercise, of course, but also to encounter and engage with people along the way. People we've met have offered us food and water and even wanted to take selfies with us. Everyone we've talked to along the way have been very interested in our journey. We've discovered new favorite restaurants, such as the Saxapahaw General Store, and searched out fantastic North Carolina barbecue restaurants across the state. It's been a blessing during this pandemic to have a goal to focus on that has given my friend and I so much joy. This next one is from Lori B. Hey Jester, I recently found your podcast and have really been enjoying your reporting on the hikes on the MST. I live in Raleigh and have just started doing the 40 MST day hikes with my 13-year-old daughter. Like most people in Raleigh, I didn't grow up here and, until the pandemic, spent vacations traveling out of the state rather than enjoying all the amazing beauty offered locally. So the silver lining of COVID has been that we have explored locally and learned a lot of history, geology, and ecology of the region. Started with exploring the trails in the local state parks, and now we are expanding to the MST day hikes. So far, we've only done the local Piedmont trails, but look forward to getting to the western ones later in the spring. I've taken some notes in the book based on your podcast, so thanks again for that. Thanks Sharon and Lori for reaching out, and please continue to send me updates as you journey on with your 40-day hikes. For today's episode, I am spotlighting my trek across the state of North Carolina and bringing you day hikes 27 through 31 from the book, Great Day Hikes on North Carolina's Mountains to Sea Trail. Not only are you going to hear the highlights from day hikes 27 through 31, but you are also going to hear my conversation with the Mayor of Roseboro, Alice Butler. I also had the opportunity to chat with bjones, who is the Coastal Crescent Project Manager with the Friends of the Mountains to Sea Trail organization. After you all hear from Mayor Alice and Ben, you will know why the title for this episode is Hope on the MST. Thanks for joining me for this episode of the podcast, and now on to the show. All right, you guys, I am back. It is Saturday, January 16th, and I am currently on the Mountains to Sea Trail on hike number 27, which is the downtown Roseboro loop. And the distance of this hike is 1.9 miles. It is actually round trip, and the degree of difficulty is very easy. I will agree with that. The trail type, you are on all road, and the elevation gain and loss is both a whopping 12 feet. The highlights of this hike, number 27, are that you are going to be walking through a quaint and historic trail town, and as you guys will hear, that is very true. Some of the information from the book, it says, Roseboro, a town of about 1,200 residents, came into being around 1890 as a depot along the Cape Fear and Yadkin Valley Railroad line, which ran from Fayetteville to Wilmington, North Carolina. It boasted the first drugstore and bank in Sampson County, along with its first auto dealership. This hike highlights both the town's history and its present history, and that cannot be more true. And I have got a very, 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 very special person coming up that you guys are going to be listening to that is very well known in the town of Roseboro, North Carolina, and is the town leader in Roseboro, North Carolina. But let's get on to this hike. So basically, this 1.9 mile round trip, I'm actually almost back to the car, starts off, I actually parked the car in the Walgreens parking lot. There's a shopping center there. And like the hike said, it is all road, and you kind of cross a major highway, which I think is Highway 24, and it takes you about a half a mile, and then you end up in the city limits of Roseboro. And as you're walking toward the city, on the right-hand side is this unique feature, and you're going to hear more about that here shortly, a kiln, so to speak, and you're going to get the history behind that. And you walk past this kiln, and from what I've learned, you're kind of walking on what used to be the old railroad bed going into the town of Roseboro. Then you get to the town, and it's one of those small little towns. All the shops are all centered down together. You've got a couple restaurants, you've got a barber shop, you've got a furniture store, and as I was on my return trip, they were loading up their truck, obviously, to deliver furniture to somebody. And there are a couple significant things along this hike. There are a couple houses that you need to make sure that you stop and take pictures and read the signs in front of the houses, and you're going to hear about those here shortly as well. And then there's also a couple murals in town. They're actually breathtaking when you walk by them. And there's also a rose garden in the town, or a vegetable garden, or a town garden, so to speak, that you guys want to make sure that you go over and take a look at as you are on this hike. And that is all I'm going to say. And I'm going to turn hike number 27 over to my special guest. And you guys are really going to enjoy this. And I will catch back up with you when I am on hike number 28 and chat with you guys real soon. All right, you guys, I have a special little treat here. I am actually still on the Mountains to Sea Trail, not far from where hike number 27 ends. And you kind of turn around and go back to the shopping center where the hike starts. But this is my first time ever speaking to a mayor of a town. So welcome, Mayor Alice Butler, to the Jester Section Hiker podcast.
Oh, thank you.
To have a nice little chat, Mayor Alice is actually getting ready to go out of town and do her thing and visit some family. So let's just start off with, how long have you actually been the mayor of Roseboro?
About 5.5 years.
Okay, and what kind of prompted you to want to be the mayor? What led you to that?
Well, it was just kind of circumstances, I guess, that happened. I got on the board about 2011, I think it was, 2012. Served on the board, and then the mayor at that time had told me that he was not running again and encouraged me to run. And I'd gotten pretty involved. My children, kind of empty nester syndrome, and so I'd gotten pretty involved in the town, and he really encouraged me to run, and so I did. So it's a 4-year term. It's some places it's 2, some it's 4, but in Roseboro it's a 4-year term. So
obviously with that, you've been elected twice.
Yes, that's
okay.
Correct. Yeah, and I didn't have anybody run against me this last time. So.
Well, that's okay. Everybody was like, well, we're not messing with her, so let's vote her back in, and you can continue the great work that you've been doing.
Okay.
And one of the things that I wanted to say, your background, you are also a former educator, is that correct?
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. I actually I graduated from UNC Chapel Hill with a business degree and worked in retail for several years, and then took some years off to raise children, and then taught for about 10 years business, computers, those type classes.
Classes right after my heart because, as you guys know, I'm an educator and I do teach in career technical education. So I actually have something in common with a mayor.
Well, and to me, those are the best classes anyone can take. I mean, I love teaching them because it's practical. It's things that they can use. I mean, I'll run into students now and they're like, I still use that Excel that you taught me.
That is awesome.
And the accounting, it's the same thing. I remember these students came back and they were like, the accounting that you taught us, it was the exact same class we had our first year at state. I made an A. I'm like, well, great.
And that's why you're the mayor.
Yeah.
So there you go. So talk to us about the little town of Roseboro, and we're going to get into the Mountains to Sea Trail going through the town. So what is the population of Roseboro?
It's about 1,200 people. It's rich in history. It's like a lot of towns in this area. It was founded on by the railroad. At one time, it was a booming town, and even pictures from the 1950s show all the people downtown on Saturday night. It was a hopping little place. Like most towns, rural towns, it has declined some, but we're back on the rise again because I think COVID is actually helping small towns, rural towns. People are wanting to get away from the big cities. We've actually got homes are selling about as fast as they're put on the market now.
Wow, that's great.
It's really exciting to see, but people want space. You know, I think COVID has changed, and I think will change forever the way we see some things in this world.
And that is a great lead into, you guys kind of heard me describe this hike earlier, but the little town of Roseboro, you kind of walk through and all of a sudden there's a mural there and it says hope. Mm-hmm. And on the sidewalk, there's a mural on the sidewalk, and that mural kind of leads you to the town, directly downtown itself, with several restaurants. I noticed a furniture store. It was actually open when I walked by. There's a barber shop. I mean, there's a little bit of something for everybody. So as far as hikers are concerned, kind of talk about some amenities, like some restaurants. I know earlier you mentioned to me like an ice cream shop and things for day hikers.
Right. Well, in this town, people can actually, if they're hiking the whole trail, we've got 2 grocery stores for a town of 1,200. That's pretty good. We've got a
So you got
pharmacy
stores
store.
for through hikers to resupply.
That's
which is
exactly,
great.
and that's what a lot of times they come, like whenever they might come and stay with us, they can go and they can, what you just said, kind of we've got Dollar General and like I said, 2 grocery stores. So a lot of times they kind of refresh and repack their bags here because we do have all of that. As you're walking down the railroad bed, well, when you first turn from the day hike you're talking about, if you look over to the right, you'll see a beautiful white, we call it the mansion. And that's a real special house, and we're hoping to get a sign in front of that. But that's where a Medal of Honor recipient, Getty Herring, was born and where he grew up and stuff. So that's a real kind of a special landmark there. And then if you continue coming on down the hike, you'll go by this brick, looks like a brick cone. And everybody's like, what is that? And we actually, because of the Mountain to Sea Trail, we actually have a sign out there on it with a website for you to go to. I asked one of the, someone that's lived here in town all his life to just kind of write up, what is that? I didn't know what it was. And so there's actually a website, well, it's the Roseboro website, but you go to that page and you can read about it. But it's where this town back in the early 1900s was lumber and cotton were 2 of the big things that we had. So a lumber mill was there. And that's where the sawdust was burned in that kiln to burn off, because otherwise it can combust and start fires and stuff. So that's what that, it looks like a beehive, I guess that beehive thing looks like. So we actually put that up so people could kind of know. And then as you come on through town or on the railroad bed, you just pass some homes and some different things. And then you come into where we've got the Bradford pears that were planted probably about 20 years ago. And we've got the little Veterans Monument there. And across the street, you see the train depot, which we've repurposed now. We actually have a daycare that rents that. It's children, I think, from maybe kindergarten through 6th grade, that type thing, that are there. So that's been a real plus because you get kids and stuff downtown using the park. And then, fortunately, we've got Cool Beans right now as a coffee shop with sandwiches
and that's always
and some
important.
Other things.
Coffee.
Yes. So
that is key to life for most hikers.
That's exactly right. And they just opened back in December, actually, but before then it was another ice cream shop. So that's a real plus for our town. We were real excited. And if you come through, you never know, you might see a food truck. They bring in food trucks and that type thing. And then as you turn, we've got 2 restaurants downtown. And I know the ones that come through and stay the night, they usually enjoy going down and getting some refreshment and maybe a pizza or something like that if they want to. You've got Benny's, who's been there for 4 or 5 years now, and Railroad Street, which celebrated 10 years. Their country food and steak on Friday and Saturday night. So, you have places that you can go and you can enjoy.
And Vinny's has got that bright yellow sign. As soon as I turned the corner, I said, well, that would be where I would go right in and get me some refreshment and meal and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that is they enjoy, and then you get a little bit of the local flavor, which I think is one of the reasons people enjoy the Mountain to Sea Trail, is to get the local flavor of the town. And we've got, some of the buildings, it's like most downtowns, we are working, trying to encourage people to fix up their buildings and do things. And some have, and like I said, that's just a constant in a small town, trying to get people to fix up their buildings. But we're fortunate. There's 2 buildings being worked on right now. So that's a plus.
That is a plus. And I got to tell you guys, Roseboro has everything, whether you're day hiking, section hiking, or through hiking the trail. And not only is Mayor Alice the mayor of Roseboro, but she and her husband are also trail angels for the Mountains of Sea Trail and the hikers. So talk to me a little bit about what prompted you guys to become trail angels.
It really, to be honest, once we found out that there was a need for it, the Mountain to Sea Trail seems like it was about 2012. It used to go, and you may know this, it used to go in Smithfield. You could go the river route, the Neuse River, and go that way. But there was problems because everybody doesn't have a canoe or a kayak. So then they made this option coming through town. And we got to meet Kate Dixon, and she's just wonderful. And in visiting and talking with her, and we pushed for it to come through. They actually had it coming through Roseboro. And of course, it's like anything. Other places want it to come through their town. So we're very grateful that they have chosen to come through Roseboro. And one of the things is there's not a good place from where people usually stop in Newton Grove area, the battlefield there. There's not a good place to really I mean, I know a lot of them bring their tents and
to kind of spend the night somewhere.
Right, in churchyards and that kind of thing. There is a campground in Salemburg, but that's not really on the trail, but people do go there if they choose. But we just wanted to open up our homes. Again, it's been very interesting. We've met a lot of really neat people. We've got 2 bedrooms upstairs and a bath, and they can wash their clothes and just kind of refresh. We've had some in the way where we're located, because most through hikers only hike, I'd say 12 to 20 miles a day, depending on what it is and, of course, the weather and stuff. So we've actually, had them stay here, and then Greg will actually take them back to the exact spot to where they were and let them hike, and then go pick them up and then bring them back here for a second night, because there's not a lot in this area. And when they leave here, they're actually going, I couldn't think of it a minute ago, but they're actually going towards Jones Lake and White Lake.
Okay. Yeah.
And out that way. But again, you have to stop in between there. And, driving somebody 10, 12 miles is nothing to get them back to where they were.
And that's almost a plus, especially for a hiker. They don't have to carry their weight they're usually carrying.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of gives them almost like another half a day off. So as a hiker, I truly appreciate those services from the Trail Angels. I appreciate what all the small towns are doing. And my goal with these episodes for the podcast is to actually get more people out visiting, doing these day hikes, and coming to these small towns. So hopefully that will happen. And I guarantee you, if I ever come through here on a through hike, I'm going to call you Mayor Alice. So I really appreciate it.
Well, that's what I'd want you to do.
And your backyard is big enough. I mean, I wouldn't even mind putting my tent out here.
Well, and some have, everybody's actually said, well, I'm like, no, come on inside. And we had one guy last year that came through he had his dog with him the whole time. I think it was the first dog maybe that had done the through hike. And I usually don't let dogs in the house. We have 2 dogs outside that we love, but his dog was so good. I said, I don't mind if he's in the house. He can go upstairs and sleep with you.
And that gave the dog a little bit of a respite
too.
Yes,
because it was hot. It was very, very hot.
Well, Mayor Alice, I am really not going to keep you any longer. Is there anything that you want to leave the listeners with about the town, about a message for the hikers with the Mountains to Sea Trail, just anything you want to leave them with?
Well, we're just thrilled that the Mountain to Sea Trail does come through here. Our motto is take root and bloom, and that is what we have been striving for. We came up with that motto probably about 8 years ago through a STEP grant that we got, and it's meant a lot to a lot of people. And you can use that take root and bloom in so many different ways. And I think it's all about planting a seed, and it may take 5 or 6 years for that seed to take off. But when it does, it starts flourishing. And I'm thrilled to see a lot of those type of things come to fruition in this town. And I'm very proud we've got a lot of volunteers, a lot of dedicated people that help us in this mission. You mentioned, I'll go back to the mural that you mentioned. Sean Hobbs is
that the one with hope? Because it's very vibrant.
Yeah,
you can't help but walk over there.
Well, he painted that when COVID first started out. He said, this is what we need. And I was just driving through town, and there it was. And I just started crying, because that's what this country needs, is hope. And so he actually started painting that. I think it was last March whenever he did that. And then we asked him to do the flowers and skin. Again, our Take Root and Bloom theme there on the roadway, and we're hoping to also have it on the other side. Another thing, I don't know if you noticed, and this time of the year obviously is not the best, but starting March till the garden actually went to November, December this year, there's a community garden that you passed. Like I said, there's not much in it right now, but it's usually flourishing and beautiful with vegetables that people can come and get: tomatoes, peppers, corn, okra, cucumbers.
Oh, you got to stop. I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, it's all right there. So anyway, and Sean actually is the one that oversees the community garden. So that's a big plus for our town. And the children and stuff, he'll go out there and educate them. Again, this year with COVID, hadn't been able to do quite all the things that we want to do. And we normally have a Bloom Fest in April. It unfortunately had to be canceled this last year, and we've already had to cancel it this coming year with with what's going on. But
Yeah.
It'll be bigger than ever whenever we do get it going back in 2022. So
That's right. Well, listen, Mayor Alice, I cannot thank you enough. I really appreciate it. And good luck in your travels. And good luck to everybody coming to Roseboro, because there's something to see here. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Julie. Mm-hmm.
All right, you guys, I am back. It is still Saturday, January 16th, and I am currently on hike number 28, and it is really windy, and this hike, as you will hear, is along the road, so if cars come by, I do apologize, but hike number 28 is titled Old Cape Fear Countryside, White Oak Post Office to Harmony Hall Plantation. The distance is 2.1 miles one way. The degree of difficulty is easy. The trail type is paved road. And the elevation gain and loss, the elevation gain is 21 feet and the loss is 8 feet. The highlights are the Revolutionary War, historic plantation, rural community, and countryside. And the information from the book reads as follows. The primary highlight of this short hike is Harmony Hall Plantation Historic Site, which was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1972. Harmony Hall features one of the oldest surviving residences in North Carolina, built in the 1960s by Colonel James Richardson. Richardson was a sea trader and won recognition as a British soldier during the American Revolution, and went on to become a representative in the North Carolina General Assembly. He died in 1810. Local folklore says that during the Revolution, while Colonel Richardson was away fighting in South Carolina, Cornwallis lodged at Harmony Hall. During Cornwallis's evening meetings with his officers, Richardson's wife crept up to the attic and overheard their conversations. She dismissed her husband, warning him of Cornwallis's plans to march on to Wilmington. This information supposedly played a part in his ultimate defeat at Yorktown. Evidence exists to confirm this legend. So you guys, hike number 29. You actually start this hike at the post office. There is a small little parking area there, and you head off on the road, and your first sight, which is always an awesome sight to see, is actually a grill on your left-hand side, and today they were open. So I think on my return trip, I'm gonna stop and eat lunch at the grill right on your left-hand side before you turn right and head down to the Harmony Hall Plantation. And basically, this hike is all along the road, and you're walking past old farmhouses, and this is what I'm gonna call a short, sweet, and to the point hike. It is what it is. It is all on the road. The highlight, I am probably about a half a mile from getting down to the plantation here. And that's about all I can say about this hike. I'm looking forward to getting down to the plantation. Just make sure you are careful on this road walk. This is actually the first day hike, I believe. So made it all the way to 28 hikes without having to really do an extended road walk. And this is only 2 miles. So it's just going to give you a little taste of the road walking on the Mountains of Sea Trail, and a way to prepare yourself mentally for the road walking sections. So I actually embrace it. I'm not sure I enjoy it quite yet, but I'm embracing the road walking, because my end goal after these 40-day hikes is to actually start section hiking the trail. So, and eventually complete the trail. And part of the Mountains to Sea Trail is road walking. So there you have it. All right, it looks like, I think I can see the turn off to the plantation. So hike number 28, road walk, starting off at the post office. It's a cute little post office too. Start off at the post office, hiking to the plantation, and make sure on your return trip you stop and get you a burger at the cafe. All right, guys, I will be back in touch as I head toward hike number 29 and be back with you guys and chat real soon. All right, you guys, I am back, coming to you once again from the Mountains to Sea Trail, and this time hike number 29. But before I get into that, I think when I was talking to you guys about hike number 28, I definitely had trail brain, or I guess road brain, since I was walking on the road there. But I failed to thank Mayor Alice once more again for meeting with me, sharing about the town of Roseboro, North Carolina on the podcast. Mayor Alice, I really appreciate that. And I will be back to see you real soon. And on the way over to this hike, I was listening to what I said about hike number 28. And I said the plantation home was built in the 1960s, but it was actually built in the 1760s. And I said I was on hike 29 at one point, but I was actually on hike number 28. So I think the road, I don't know, it did something to my brain, but I had to pivot and get back in line. And the end of hike number 28 ended up being great because you do turn off of the road there. And right on your left-hand side, as you are turning into the plantation, there is a general store there. And if you guys watch, have seen the movie Fried Green Tomatoes, it literally took me back to the Whistle Stop Cafe. So for those of you that have seen that movie, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And sadly, it is only open on Sundays from 2 to 4. So I didn't get a chance to go in there and see that. And I just wanted to say the plantation grounds were great and very peaceful, very quiet. You could walk around and take a look at everything. And it was a great way to end that hike. So just wanted to say a few notes there before I read about hike number 29, which is titled Turnbill Creek and Jones Lake. Turnbill Creek Educational State Forest Office to Jones Lake State Park Visitor Center. The distance for this hike is 1 mile, one way, and the degree of difficulty is easy. The trail type is natural surface. Elevation gain, 17 feet of gain and 13 feet of loss. The highlights of this hike are Carolina Bay Lake, longleaf pine savanna, Pocasin or Poccasin, education exhibits about history and ecology of the area. And the book says Carolina Bays, named for the evergreen bay trees that thrive, and many of them are elliptical depressions, all aligned in a northwest-southwest direction. The bays occur all over southeastern North Carolina and provide habitat for many rare and endangered species. Although theories abound about how they were originally formed, nobody really knows. This hike features 2 of these bays, one that still holds water and one that has dried and filled with vegetation. And I do want to say for this hike, even though this hike is 1 mile, there is actually an alternate hike for this route. I do recommend that you guys go to the mountainstoseatrail.org website and take a look at the alternate route, because this hike can be done a couple of ways. And I am actually on one of the bookends of this. And what I mean is you can park at the first trailhead coordinate and you have to do an out and back. And then when you park at the second trailhead coordinate, you have to do an out and back there as well, because there is a drainage that I'm standing right here looking at it. So I can see on the other side where I came to the drainage. And then now I'm at I parked at the second trailhead. And on this end, it's like 0.3 to the drainage. And then you turn around and go back to Jones Lake State Park area. And I can see why they don't want you going through this. Apparently they are working with trail crews in this area, or whoever is going to be building the bridge that goes over this. And it's a shame. I'm just going to have to come back because I want to be able to walk over that new bridge. And you can tell, guys, where they're working on it and complete this hike all the way through, even though it is 1 mile. So hopefully I will be able to do that as I'm section hiking the Mountains of Sea Trail. But as far as hike number 29 goes, I have done all I can do. And I'm also going to go over here to the Jones Lake area and see what is going on with the alternate when I get back over to the park office. But all I can say about this hike is, you guys, it is in a beautiful, natural landscaped pine tree forest. And you're just kind of meandering through the pine trees. And it is a really chilly day. And all these pine trees are actually blocking the wind. So I can't feel the wind that I felt on hike number 28. And it's gorgeous and it smells great. And the footing right now, it's like I'm walking in a pine needle bed. So this 1 mile hike, if you do the out and backs on both ends, it ends up being almost a 2 mile hike, but definitely well worth it because the trailheads are like 2 minutes apart. And if you've got somebody with you and they're able to drop you off, or you guys are doing like a car swap kind of thing, this hike will be really easy to meander vehicles and all that good stuff. Or you can just come to Jones Lake State Park and complete the alternate. So my recommendation is go to the Mountains of Sea Trail website, because just a reminder, today is Saturday, January 16th, 2021. And I think it will depend when you are going to be coming out here to do this hike, if the bridge is done or not. And like I said before, you can definitely tell they are working on this trail. There's flagging. You can tell it's kind of cool because it just seems this is freshly built trail. So really cool hike. I'm sad the bridge isn't done, but I will definitely come back out probably as I'm section hiking the Mountains of Sea Trail, and hopefully that bridge will be done by then. Anyway, guys, hope you've enjoyed so far what I've had to say about 27, 28, 29, and my little interview with Mayor Alice. And I will be back with you guys tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm going to be doing hikes number 30 and 31. And I'm meeting up with another special guest that you guys will hear from here shortly. Otherwise, I will be back to chat with you guys real soon. All right, you guys, I am back. It is Sunday, January the 17th. It is my dad's birthday. So first and foremost, happy birthday, Dad, or in the hiking world, he is known as Jester Senior, and I love it. I love that he has taken that trail name. So happy birthday, Dad. I love you, and I wish you were down here with me, because hike number 30, you would absolutely love it, because it is at a battleground site, and my dad loves visiting different battleground areas. But before we get into the hike, I wanted to give you guys some information. I don't know, you guys, my brain yesterday, I don't know where it was, but wanted to let you know on hike number 28, there is actually a grill. It's called Cane's Grill, and it is awesome because it is right on that hike. And if you do the hike as an out and back, you can do the hike, and when you turn around, you can eat at Cane's Grill. And you guys know what I had. I had my grilled chicken sandwich, and Cane's Grill is top rated because they had crinkle fries. So kudos to Cane's Grill. Make sure you stop by there on hike number 28. And right before you get to trailhead number 1 for hike number 29, there is actually an awesome fire tower. You can't go up in it, but I sure did get a picture of it, and I will put it in the show notes for you guys. And then on the drive here to hike number 30, I tried to stop in at Kelly General Store, which is, I mean, it's about 10 minutes from hike number 30. And as you would have it, it is closed on Sundays, and it is Sunday, so I was not able to stop in there, which means I'll just have to come back. So wanted to give you guys some housekeeping notes on that. And now we will get into this awesome hike number 30, Moores Creek National Battlefield Loop. The distance is a 0.9 mile loop. The degree of difficulty is easy. And the trail type, in the book it says improved trail, and you guys will know what that means when you get out here and do this hike. The terrain kind of varies. It's pavement, it's on grass, you go over some awesome bridges, and then it's on like these repurposed tire treads, which is really cool and interesting. So be on the lookout for that when you get here. The elevation gain is 20 feet. The loss is 20 feet. The highlights are, this is the site of one of the most important battles of the Revolutionary War, diverse coastal plain ecosystems, and birding. Moores Creek National Battlefield is the site of the first Patriot victory in the American Revolution. Early on the morning of February 27th, 1776, Loyalist militia forces charged across the partially dismantled Moores Creek Bridge. Expecting only a small Patriot force, they were surprised by nearly 1,000 troops waiting patiently. The resulting Patriot victory signaled the end of the British authority in North Carolina and led to North Carolina becoming the first colony to vote for independence. So I love that part of the history that was put in the book. And you guys, I am really enjoying this hike. And I just read to you guys about the Moores Creek Bridge. And I literally just got off of that bridge, and it is phenomenal. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'm kind of stopped here because it's really quiet and it's peaceful, and very few people are walking around. There were very few cars in the parking lot. This is an area that is part of the National Park Service, and I'm just going to take my time and walk around and read the signs and enjoy the monuments that are at this place. And that is the only thing I can say about this hike. Phenomenal. When you get here, plan to take time. The park office is actually not open, which I'm sad about that, but I think it's not open because it's Sunday. But I'm going to take my time on this 0.9 mile hike, walk around, read the signs, enjoy the monuments, kind of engross myself into the history of this place. And you guys, hike number 30, phenomenal. And I will be back to chat with you guys real soon about hike number 31. All right, you guys, I am back. Currently on hike number 31 on the Mountains of Sea Trail. It is still Sunday, January 17th. And this is hike number 5 for me for this weekend. And hike number 31 will conclude this episode as far as the day hikes go. So hike number 31, the Burgaw Greenway Loop. The distance is 2.7 miles for the loop. The degree of difficulty is easy. And the trail type is paved greenway and sidewalk. And that is very true. And the highlights are the Greenway Trail through historic trail town of Burgaw. This easy flat loop hike begins and ends at the Pender County Museum near downtown Burgaw. If you arrive during its operating hours, stop into the museum to learn a little bit about the history of Burgaw and the surrounding area. And, of course, because it is Sunday, the museum is not open, so I am not able to do that. But you guys, this hike, another great surprise on the day hikes. You actually start off the parking area there at the museum. It's got about a space for 6 or 7 cars. So you park there and you're literally almost in downtown Burgaw. And I hope I'm saying that right. And you start the hike. And one of the first things that you see is the historic train depot. I mean, literally maybe 0.2 or 0.3 into the hike is on your right-hand side. And when I went through there just a little bit ago, they had food trucks getting ready to start selling food. And I'm telling you, the smell of barbecue coming out of those food trucks, Carolina barbecue at its finest right here. And hopefully they are going to be ready to start selling that barbecue as I loop back around, because I'm going to go right over there and get me a barbecue sandwich. But anyway, so you walk past there and I believe it's called the Osgood Greenway Trail. And it's pretty much sidewalk. And you're walking through the town of Burgaw. And at one point on the Greenway, you actually go by an area where I guess there are samples of grapevines, and I guess because it's January, the grapes are not blooming on the vines, but that is actually a highlight and would be great to see as you're walking through there, the different style of grapes they have set up and all that good stuff. So that was good. And now it looks like I'm kind of walking on the outskirts of town, and then the Mountains of Sea Trail itself actually heads out onto Highway 53, and then I will loop back around to the museum. So I know this is a short little explanation for hike number 31, but pretty much it's a hike through Burgaw, and it just cracked me up. It's a great hike for section hikers and through hikers that need to resupply, because right on the path on this hike is a Piggly Wiggly. So plenty of resupply here in this town. And you guys, this will wrap up this episode as far as the day hikes go. And I'm going to finish out this hike. I think I've got about a mile left, and I've got some Carolina barbecue on my mind. So I will be back to chat with you guys real soon. All right, you guys, I am back, and as promised, I told you guys earlier I had another special guest for this episode, and I am currently sitting right now with bjones, who is the Coastal Crescent Project Manager for the Friends of the Mountains of Sea Trail organization. So welcome to the podcast, Ben.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate, honestly, it is a Sunday afternoon. It is absolutely gorgeous. And I'll just set the stage for you guys. Ben and I are sitting on a porch. We are in rocking chairs, and it's probably 55 degrees and absolutely wonderful. And
it's perfect.
I just thank you so much for taking time out of your Sunday afternoon. So, because I'm so excited about this, Ben, tell us a little bit about your role with the Friends of the Mountains of Sea Trail and your title. What does that encompass?
Sure. So as the Coastal Crescent Project Manager, I am sort of the point person working on this newly formed land route for the Mountains of Sea Trail in southeastern North Carolina. So
you're the guy, you're not the mountain guy, you're not the Piedmont guy, you're the coastal guy.
Exactly. And right now, this is the area where we have the least trail on the ground. And so a lot of the projects I'm working on are really in their sort of early phases where we're building public support, we're creating plans, we're raising money, we're getting what little trail built that we can right away, the low-hanging fruit. And we're starting to build up a base of volunteers and members, and just sort of raising the profile of the Mountains to Sea Trail in Eastern North Carolina.
And before I move forward with my next question, let's give the listeners, you just told me how you kind of ended up working for the Friends of the Mountains to Sea Trail organization. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So I was in grad school at NC State University studying landscape architecture. And this was, I think, about 4 years ago at this point. And I was at the time living in North Durham, North Carolina, actually very close to the day hike number 21 in Eno River State Park.
Great park.
Exactly. Yeah, a fabulous place. And it was such a great place for us to live because just down our street was an access trail to the Mountains to Sea Trail where we would take our dogs, we would hike, we would, go lounge in the river. We would, spend pretty much multiple days every week, every year. And it became a big part of our life and our sort of understanding of being in that area. And I really felt strongly that, I wanted to contribute somehow. As a landscape architecture student, I was really inspired by the trail. I had already been a trail person, a hiker. And this one in particular was so special because it was totally interwoven into neighborhoods and communities. And you would transition from being on a cul-de-sac to being in what felt like the wilderness. And the trail, to me, is just a really powerful symbol, and in a lot of ways, the most basic form of landscape architecture. It is a planned and decided upon line through the landscape, and there's a lot of lessons to be learned there. And not only about, how to make a space best usable, but also, just to learn about all the native plants and all the history along the trail. So I called Kate Dixon, and I wanted to set up a meeting and see if there was something I could do. In Durham was my goal. And when I met with her at a coffee shop, she basically said, well, what we really need is help in the coastal plain on our new Coastal Crescent Trail. And I haven't stopped working with them since.
I think that is an awesome story. And obviously, the Mountains to Sea Trail is near and dear to your heart. So there's couple questions I want to ask you about the trail itself and some work you guys are doing. And since I've been talking about the day hikes, let's talk about day hike number 29 and the possibility of a bridge being built there. So that 1 mile trek, eventually hikers can go right through. So maybe give us an example of some things going on there and what people could expect with that particular hike.
Yeah, so that hike is really the first trail that I was building for the MST and the Coastal Crescent, because so many of our opportunities require a lot of legwork and permission to get approval to build the trail. And so right now we're in a bit of a holding pattern. We're waiting on the North Carolina Forest Service to give us permission to build a bridge there. Originally they were going to build one, but they have had some internal consolidation and changes in leadership and have been having to put that on the back burner for a while. So as soon as we get the go-ahead, we're going to go ahead and build a bridge there, a bridge that can support their maintenance vehicles. But it's really just a hop and a skip to get over the Jones Lake drain there.
I wasn't going to say anything, Ben, but since you did, yes, it is. Yeah. It's not that bad. I mean, I would say for families, and I said this too earlier, you'd want to be really careful with kids. Well, but if you're a major experienced hiker, you may not think a thing about it, but.
Exactly. That's kind of, it's, so it's really about Turnbull Creek Educational State Forest wanting to avoid liability. And having a trail that's open to the public 24/7 is new to them. They are an educational state forest and they bring students in, they lead nature walks, they have a trail system of their own. And really, this is the beginning of what will be a much bigger partnership with them. So that 1 mile of trail will be extended by another 6 miles of trail as soon as we get a much more substantial bridge built over Turnbull Creek, just to the east.
Oh, that'll be great.
We think that area has the potential to be a really big hub for us. Bladen Lake State Forest has a campground called Camp Chamblee at what would be the other end of this new 6 miles of trail. And then with having Jones Lake State Park and their huge sort of trailhead facility, campground.
And that is a great facility. We went by there yesterday. I was like, wow, this place, the campground is really nice.
Yeah, it's fantastic. They just actually renovated their entire campground. And It's really a fantastic place. I can't speak highly enough of all the Bay Lakes, Carolina Bay Lakes, and the landscapes around them. And so this particular hike is special because you get to transition from the sandy rim of the bay where you've got longleaf pine, bracken fern, and basically straight sand soil, and you just transition straight down into a Carolina Bay formation where the soil is now suddenly 100% peat and often waterlogged, and you go from having pines to having hardwoods. And then on the backside, you transition right back out, and you get to see the beautiful Naval Stores exhibit at Turnbull Creek Educational State Forest. So,
and I'm glad you explained that, because I read some of the book in the podcast about the Carolina Bay, and I didn't really know how to explain that. So thank you. That makes total sense. So when you guys go do this hike, that makes total sense now. So if I would have known, the transitioning to the peat moss and all that kind of stuff, that would have been very good knowledge. So you're a Western Carolina person.
Yeah.
I'm more of a Western Carolina person, used to, big mountain ranges, and coming to the East Coast, it's been a transition for me, but it's been great because I'm learning about all these small little towns in the coastal plains, and the hiking is so different, but it's still all intriguing and doable. So beyond Hike 29, what can people, just in general, what can people expect in the coastal region as a hiker? What's going to draw people to, this area to continue, hiking to Jockey's Ridge?
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of what you said is what it provides, is that a lot of people haven't experienced it. A lot of people think of the hiking and they think of the mountains, or they think of the Piedmont. And there are all these beautiful and rare landscapes that people just don't see very often. One of southeastern North Carolina is one of the ecological hotspots of the entire eastern seaboard of the United States. Between carnivorous plants, pitcher plants, endangered bird species, migratory bird species, there's just a lot going on. The challenge is it's kind of hard to get to some of those spots. And I think that's been one of my biggest lessons learned is, this landscape is a very seasonal landscape in eastern North Carolina, and it is one of the most fantastic places to be right now. You're talking about January, February, December, a lot of times where it's hard to have quality hiking experiences in the mountains, there's a lot to be done and a lot to be seen in eastern North Carolina. And really what you experience there is just a quietness and a real peacefulness, and it's not so harsh. It's just a real, it's a landscape that I have found to be really soothing. Walking on the sand, under the pine trees, you don't get
that yesterday. I was like, it's just like a pine needle bed forest. I don't know how to explain it because I'm not really good on the ecological systems and all that kind of stuff. But listening to you, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, right. It's got history too. I think that's another special thing about it.
The battlegrounds today the battleground, the Moores Creek.
Oh yeah.
Oh, phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a special place, and the other thing that's exciting is it's ready to grow and expand, and there's so much more to be seen and to be done. Some of those special places, if you haven't been to the Nusiak Trail in the Croatan National Forest, I recommend that.
I have not
highly.
yet. That's coming.
That's coming up.
Yeah. And thank you for teaching me how to pronounce that. So say that again.
The Nusiak Trail?
Nusiak Trail, okay.
Yeah. So the Nusiak Trail is named for the Nusiak Native American tribe, which was sort of based out of New Bern. And their historic range was all along the Neuse River and the sound that goes up toward what we on the trail have as Pine Cliff Recreation Area. And so it's nice that it's named for them. But it's a really amazing landscape where, again, you get to see a huge variety going from one river basin to another river basin, from north to south or south to north. And then, I highly recommend people check out the Carolina Bay Lakes. Here in Bladen County alone, Singletary Lake State Park, Jones Lake State Park, White Lake, even Suggs Mill State Game Land, Suggs Mill Pond State Game Land. They are just incredibly unique places, and just this beautiful, still water. It's just a really special, very unique to North Carolina place.
Well, Ben, after hearing that, I really don't want to drive west back to Charlotte, North Carolina. I want to turn around and go back east. So one thing that goes with hiking is eating. And I know Eastern North Carolina is known for good food. So the really cool thing about doing the day hikes is 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10, you're going to have a vehicle. So is there anywhere that you suggest, absolutely, hands down, you can't come and do these hikes, maybe, unless you go eat at this particular place? I know I put you on the spot.
That's a good question.
There.
Well, I know a few of my local joints that I go to when I'm going to places where I work. And I would say you got to try Melvin's Hamburgers in Elizabethtown.
Okay.
You know, they have the Carolina Burger. And if you're not into hamburgers, you at least got to go check the place out because it's a real unique sort of time capsule. And then if you're in the Surf City area or you're in Jacksonville, but particularly in the Surf City area, you got to go get some shrimp. You got to go get some crab cakes. You know, it's pretty amazing that you can be hiking on the trail and get really fresh caught seafood too. I mean, those are probably my top places. You know, every little town has a place though. Over by Roseboro, you got Salem Pizza, which is one of the best.
Pizza's always good.
Yeah, it's one of the best pizza places I've ever been to. That
all right, people are making notes in their books right now, like by these towns of where to stop and eat, because you're a hiker yourself. I mean, we got to eat when we're done.
Yes,
so.
exactly.
Vitally important. There is one more place I want to ask you about. We were corresponding with email. You mentioned a gentleman owned a place. I guess it's a Treehouse.
Yeah. So, oh gosh, I'm gonna struggle to understand how to explain this here.
I looked it up online and I was like, wow, that place looks amazing.
So in Roseboro, there has been a real strong stitched together community for a long time, and one of the most special places in Roseboro that no one really knows about is a community treehouse, and I'm struggling. I'm forgetting right now to remember his name. But if you look it up, Duke University put together a series. I will
put it in the show notes, so don't struggle with it anymore.
All right.
So I will make sure that
this is where you edit that in, right?
Yes, yes.
And he's been building it and adding on to it year after year for, 20, 25 years. And it was really originally meant for him and his friends to have a place to hang out and have a beer, and it's turned into sort of a cultural icon of the area. And Roseboro is just a really cool little town that not very many people know about. It's smaller now than it was in the 30s, or about the same size, and it is still vibrant. They have a nice community garden, and we're getting ready to build some of our first on-the-ground trail there soon. So we're really looking forward.
Oh, wow, that's another sneak peek you've
Yes,
given. That is great.
We're working right now with the Plant Conservation Program to find a way to sort of build our first amount of trail in the Pondberry Bay Preserve. So details to come later, but we're really excited for Roseboro because they've just been incredibly supportive of us, even without having natural surface trail yet. And we finally get to sort of reward all of their great advocacy.
Well, that is great news, and that is great news for the Mountains of Sea Trail. So Ben, I asked this question to everybody that I interview, and I'll ask the same question to you to kind of wrap this up. Is there anything you want to leave the listeners with, maybe about the coastal plain, maybe about the Mountains of Sea Trail, to kind of just leave them with something as a hiker about the trail?
Yeah, sure. This has been something that's been kind of bouncing around in my mind a lot. You know, we're living in very turbulent times, very divisive times, and it's very evident in Eastern North Carolina. We have this very strong urban-rural divide in our state and in our country. And one of the most special things to me about the work I'm doing on the trail and the people I see who come to help me build the trail is that it's one of the few things that just brings people together, people of all types, all backgrounds. You know, the conservative hunters use the trail, and this is a stereotype, but the liberal bird watchers use the trail. You know, young people, older people, they come together to work on the trail because it's really an appreciation about the land, the shared land, the public good there. And it gives me hope. And I think it should give all North Carolinians hope to think that this is something I think we can agree on. and that we can come together to work on. And hopefully, as you're hiking the Mountains to Sea Trail, you can see that, and you can kind of see those things about the urban areas and the rural areas that we have in common, and hopefully people can learn something about each other through the trail.
And I can't think of any better way to close this out. So the Mountains to Sea Trail, it's given me hope, and it gives me hope just because, I've got 9 more hikes to go before I finish the 40, and I'm going to section hike this trail. So, Ben, I can't thank you enough. Really appreciate you taking out the time and coming on the podcast.
Well, and we really appreciate you, spreading the word, and really sort of showcasing the Mountains to Sea Trail. It's a trail for everybody, and you're sort of bringing it to more people. So we really appreciate that too.
Thanks, Ben. Despite my major trail brain I had on these particular hikes, Mayor Alice and Ben truly reminded me why I started hiking on the MST and completing these 40-day hikes. Thanks again to you both for taking time out of your weekend to share with all of us. The MST gives me hope and a light at the end of the tunnel. I encourage all of you to get involved in your home state trail, local park, or trail club and start giving back. I promise you won't be disappointed. All of the information, resources, and pictures from today's episode can be found in the show notes at hikingradionetwork.com. If you like what we do here at the network, please consider a donation to your favorite show and leave us a review. Each donation and review truly makes a difference. Until next week, thanks for listening and happy section hiking.
I'm wondering if you'd go wandering with me through the wilderness and woods to where the winds are blowing free, through the darkness of the night, heading toward the morning light. I wonder if you'd wander with me, and I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods. You're wondering if I go wandering with you, what kind of trouble we'll get ourselves into. Would it be wrong to tag along with a band of vagabonds? You wonder if I'd wander with you. So I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river. I'm wondering if you'd come wandering my way, if you ever get lost or if the trail leads you astray. The music of the pack can always bring you back. I wonder, can we wander away? And I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of statistics, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and an enormous selection of players and stat options are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million football fans who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/get100 and use code GET100. That's code GET100 at prizepicks.com/get100 for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.